Welcome into this edition of NFL Daily, powered by Chat Sports. I am merely Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us as the first wave of free agency is complete, but there are still plenty of good players left on the market looking for a new home in 2024. We will give our predictions for 4 of them of where we think they will end up when it is all said and done. Before we get to that, though, want to make sure that you are subscribed to Chat Sports, as we are your NFL offseason headquarters, covering all things draft, free agency, trades, and more. And the bosses want to know, can we get 20 subs off today's video? They don't think we can. I believe we can prove them wrong. Show them who's boss. Let's get 20 subs off today's show. Make it happen. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV for continuing daily NFL coverage. Let's start with Stephon Gilmore, who played for the Dallas Cowboys in 2023. Had a pretty solid season. I'm predicting a reunion for Gilmore next year, but not in Dallas. I think he ends up with the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts certainly could use some help in the secondary. Gilmore would provide a veteran presence for a very young team as well. And who would the Indianapolis Colts be getting out of Stephon Gilmore? Well, he's been successful with several different teams in several different schemes. It hasn't mattered. He has played at a high level. The former Defensive Player of the Year back in 2019 is a 5-time Pro Bowler, also won a Super Bowl championship as well. And you look at the statistics. He has continued to remain consistent throughout the years. 2 interceptions and 1 forced fumble, 13 pass breakups last season. That was the best year he's had in the last 4 seasons, and played in all 17 games for Dallas. The coverage numbers are pretty good as well. Allowed just a completion percentage under 55%. We mentioned the pass breakups, 13, 2 interceptions, quarterback rating of 83.3. Could be a difference maker for that Indianapolis Colts defense. Now, let's ask you, where do you believe Stephon Gilmore is going to sign in NFL free agency? Weigh in on our pinned comment today. Let us know what you think. Is it Indianapolis? Is it back to Dallas? Is it somewhere else? Chime in with your opinions below. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players in any given category. Get the choice of more or less. Whether you are talking fantasy points, maybe it's home runs in baseball, rebounds in basketball, all sorts of different categories to choose from. And I got a little special for you. This is what I call the Rodriguez special. With the baseball season just about to begin, I got Grayson Rodriguez of the Baltimore Orioles to have more than 180.5 strikeouts. I got Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners to have more than 168.5 hits this season. Let's say I put $20 down, both these hit. That turns into $60 on Prize Picks. Play along with me, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, proud partner of NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Next up, Jadeveon Clowney, the edge rusher who last played with the Baltimore Ravens, had a nice bounce-back season in 2023 after an abysmal year in Cleveland in 2022. And I have a reunion for Clowney as well, but in Seattle with the Seahawks. The Seahawks certainly could use help when it comes to finding pass rushers. They had an inconsistent pass rush throughout much of 2023. And you look at Clowney, he was very successful this past year playing in Mike Macdonald's system in Baltimore, where he really just thrived and looked like his old self, right? A 3-time Pro Bowler, a second-team All-Pro selection in 2016. You put him in that same system where he was successful. Watch out, Clowney could be a great fit for Seattle. Here's what we're talking about numbers-wise, folks. He had more sacks in 2023 than he did in any of the previous 3 seasons. Also had 2 forced fumbles, 9 tackles for loss, and 43 tackles. A very nice rotational piece. I think Seattle would be very happy to have Clowney return in a different role in Mike Macdonald's scheme, comparably speaking to when he previously played with the Seahawks there. Who's the best free agent remaining on the market? We're going through a couple names here. Obviously, there's plenty more out there. Weigh in the comment section. Give me a name that comes to mind who you believe is the very best. Next up, we find Julian Blackmon, the safety for the Indianapolis Colts. And Blackman is very fascinating, right? He's had kind of an up and down career to this point. Still very young, but this past season in 2023 was a nice bounce back year for Blackman where his stock really just soared and became a full-time starter again for Indianapolis. And if he plays like he did last year in Indy, he would be a difference maker for somebody. I'm watching out for the Buffalo Bills. The Bills have lost a lot, including Jordan Poyer at the safety position, looking to replace him. And you look at Blackman, you see the Bills situation where they don't have a ton of money to spend necessarily. They're still looking for a splash to make in free agency. Blackman could be the guy that they're looking for. He had a career high in tackles this past season with 88. Also had a team high of passes defended with 23 there in Indianapolis. And you look at his young age, he's played in 50 games with 46 career starts. Here's what we're talking about, the impressive season that he had this past year. 4 total interceptions, along with those 8 pass breakups. And he had more interceptions this past year than his entire career combined. So the infamous term you hear this time of year, upward trajectory, that certainly seems to be the case when it comes to Julian Blackmon there. Held quarterbacks to a QB rating of 55.8, completion percentage 69.8, and under 400 receiving yards allowed. The final player we'll talk about today is Odell Beckham Jr. of the Baltimore Ravens. We already know that he's not coming back to Baltimore, as he's already said his goodbyes to the Charm City. And the Ravens looking to go another direction in replacing him, whether it's another veteran or somebody through the draft. And what we've seen with OBJ is that his most recent moves have been about who he is kind of familiar with of sorts, right? The Rams, it was Stafford and that gang and trying to get to a Super Bowl. With the Ravens, it was the opportunity to play with Lamar Jackson in getting them to the AFC Championship game. I think Aaron Rodgers really wants to play with OBJ, and I think OBJ wants to play with Aaron Rodgers. We heard these rumblings previously when Rodgers was in Green Bay and when he was when he started with New York. I think this is a marriage that makes a bunch of sense for both sides. Is OBJ the same player he was when he was making Pro Bowls? No. But you look at the role that he could be asked. If he could be the difference in this team winning a game or two, that would go a long ways for this Jets team that's trying to take this next step forward and make the postseason. A Super Bowl champion, as we mentioned, 3-time Pro Bowler. OBJ, not a superstar anymore, but still could be an impact player, could be a difference maker for the New York Jets and trying to get a spark for that offense going. You can see last year, played in 14 games, was banged up a bit, ended up with 3 touchdowns, 565 yards. If the Jets could get those numbers up a little bit further, if he could have a 700 or 800-yard season, I think they would gladly take that with OBJ. What do you think about the Jets? Should OBJ sign with the New York Jets? Weigh in the comment section, tell us what you think. Type OBJ for yes, no BJ for no. Should he go to New York? Weigh in the comment section, tell us what you think. Subscribe now to NFL Daily by Chat Sports for more NFL coverage, and we'll see you next time here on the channel.